Okay, it's time for our next exciting video, and this one involves determining the relative extrema of this function, which has an exponential function involved in it. So, relative extrema is where the derivative changes from positive to negative or vice versa. That can only happen at critical numbers. So that's where the derivative is 0. So all this is based off the first derivative. So I think it would be a good idea to figure out what the first derivative is. So here we go. This is a product. So follow your product rule. It's the first times the derivative of the second, derivative of the x is itself, plus the second e to the x times the derivative of the first, which is 3x squared. Very simple. We need to figure out where that equals 0. So I'm going to factor out an x squared e to the x. And I'll be left with x to the first plus 3, it looks like. So that's not too difficult. We have to figure out the critical numbers or where this equals 0. So there's 3 factors here. There's an x squared, there's an e to the x, and there's an x plus 3. That means the critical numbers would be where, for the x squared, where x equals 0. And then where e to the x equals 0, but e to the x cannot equal 0. It's always positive. And then this one would be x equals negative 3. So the critical numbers I'm seeing, the 2 critical numbers I'm seeing are 0 and negative 3. So we need to find out if the derivative changes signs. So it's simple. We will do the first derivative test. So the first derivative at negative anything here, 10. Then the first derivative at anything, whoa, there's a mistake. Oop. Don't know how that happened, but okay. So make sure you do your numbers in order. The negative 10 is still good here. And the next one is f prime of, I guess I'll go with negative 1. And finally, f prime of any positive number. So f prime of negative 10. Remember now, this part of it's always positive, so I don't have to worry about it. So we're just looking at the x squared term and the x plus 3 term. So negative 10 squared is positive. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative. So we're decreasing there. If you plug in negative 1 squared is positive. Negative 1 plus 3 is positive. So we're increasing there. If you plug in 10, the same thing happens. Positive, positive. So we have one relative extrema because the derivative changes signs only one place. And that's at negative 3. And that happens to be a minimum. So we have a minimum at negative 3, comma, whatever the value is at negative 3. To find out what the value of at negative 3 is, you'll just plug that value into the original function. It's the y value. So f of negative 3, I'm looking up here, would be negative 3 cubed times e to the negative 3. Now, negative 3 cubed is negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 27. And e to the negative 3 is 1 over e to the positive 3. So that's the y value of the minimum. There you go.